Thanks.
Let's start it off. Let's kick it off with this announcement. Fuck, it's so fucking hot in here. Guys, look at me.
I'm feeling okay.
I'm sweating. I'm sweating because I got this hot donut on me fresh out of the oven.
I see what you did there.
It's so hot and warm. Toasty.
Oh, he looks kind of sleepy.
Toasty little buddy. He just had a nice little walk. If you want to see my new dog, Donut, you can go to YouTube and check out the podcast there. He is pretty much the handsomest boy you'll ever see. He beats out all the other boy dogs in the world as the handsomest. And I'm sorry, Loki, but it's the truth.
Yeah, Loki's got that dumb.
The cool thing.
Loki looks like he's got that dumb cuteness.
He does.
It's a different category.
I was gonna say the cool thing is that I'm currently not in the studio with you guys because I am in Quebec on my way to get my own little puppy, and then next week, dude, we just have the full puppy podcast. I think we should just change. We should probably stop talking about
podcast?
illness.
Yeah, and just talk about our dogs.
Dude, that's dude. There's an audience out there for that.
That's kind of what happens when you get a dog. You just don't shut the fuck up about it, which I'm already tired of talking about them. God damn it. But what I actually wanted to start this week's episode off was with this. This is, man, I gotta say, I did not like TikTok about 2 months ago, and it is really growing on me because you see shit like this.
Man, y'all should add or follow me. I'm only 20 years old, and I'm half a man. I was a full man, but I mean, your boy got cut in half by a forklift. So, drop a follow, yo. This is just the beginning.
The wrong kid died,
dude. Can you imagine
Crazy.
Getting chopped in half by a fucking forklift? And then what I'm guessing is like maybe a month out being like,
he's pretty chill.
Hey, pretty fucking chill about it, dude. Like he is wearing that half body like a champ.
Hey, you know what? That's what I hope I would be like if I got cut in half. I told you guys this a few weeks ago. I ran into one of the docs that was in the emergency trauma room when I got hit. And I hadn't seen her since then. And I was obviously very high on drugs and stuff when I was in there. And she goes, you know what? You were the most chill person who could have possibly been dying that I've ever had in the trauma room.
I just can't believe you remember what she looked like because I don't rember what anybody fucking looked like when
I knew her from before. From before,
okay.
she was like an acquaintance. So,
but you know what? If anyone would be that chill, it would be a yoga teacher.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Yeah, it would be.
Do you guys want to know what actually happened to that guy? Because I looked into that. I went to his YouTube channel.
So yeah, bro, can you drop his TikTok handle? Do you have it there? It was in the video, but if you are listening, we should say for the people at home, I'll play it one more time here. For the folks at home that can't see this young gentleman who's only 20 years old is sitting in a hospital bed, missing one arm up to the elbow, and he has nothing below the waist.
Nothing.
And he looks like a fucking chill ass dude. And this is just the beginning.
He also sounds like he might still be on some heavy
Sabia
opioids.
and Lauren, SABIA.and.Lauren, LOREN is his TikTok handle. So if you're on TikTok and you want to check this guy out, highly suggest it.
He's his name's Lauren and he is on, they have a YouTube channel and there's this story where they tell like, it's a 25 minute video and they go into the whole story of what happened to him. And, and it's really crazy. So he mentioned getting cut in half by a forklift. But what actually happened? Do you guys want to know the story?
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay, so he was.
Or should we save it? Should we save it and have him on the show? I mean, no. You tell that story. We should have him.
I'll give you like the Brian watched a YouTube video about it version of it, and then we should definitely have him on the podcast to like tell us the full story. But basically, what happened was he was working on a bridge. They were working for this construction company, and they were a little bit behind schedule, so the bridge wasn't fully made. But what they wanted to do was open up at least one lane on it so they could start using it. So they had opened up one lane on this bridge, and they had like a stoplight that was letting traffic go in one direction.
Got you. Yeah.
And so it would like alternate. You go one way and then go the other way. And so because they had to like barricade off the other lane that they were working on, they had those big orange barriers, the ones that like they like fill up with water.
Like a median.
Like
a temporary median.
Yeah. So there was a car that was coming through, and it actually hit one of them on one of the ends and knocked it out of place. So this guy, Lauren, his boss was like, "Hey, dude, go get the forklift, go pick up that water barricade and put it back." And so he had never been trained how to drive a forklift, but like he's like this young, like really like great, like high energy guy, and like was really. His supervisor like really took this liking to him, so would ask him to do a lot of things. And so he really trusted him. So he went and picked up the barricade. And at the same time he was picking up the barricade, there was this other car that had like come speeding onto the bridge. And so he was like, oh, fuck, this car doesn't see that I'm here. And so he tried to like speed up and get off the bridge before the car like came and hit him. And while he was driving the forklift, it's sort of like the car like nudged him and like forced him off the side of the bridge. And he wasn't like in the middle of the bridge. He was like towards the end. And what happened is the forklift actually started rolling down the hill when he was in it.
Oh no.
And so like apparently in forklift safety training, you're supposed to like, if
which
the
he didn't
forklift's
take.
ever going to, he didn't take, right?
He didn't have a license to drive it.
So when the forklift started to roll, you're supposed to like stay in the seat. But what he actually tried to do was jump out of it. And as he like stood up to jump out, his foot got caught in the seatbelt. So he like undid the seatbelt and was jumping out. And so the thing first tipped, it like the inertia of it tipping swung him into the side of it, broke his ribs, like just shattered his ribs.
Oh God.
It did 2 full flips. And then the top of the forklift landed on his like lower half of his body.
Oh my God.
And he like kind of got pinned into this dirt pile that was at the bottom of the hill. And it totally shattered
everything
his whole
below
lower half of his body and his arm. And so he got pinned into this dirt pile. And of course, like number one, there's a fucking massive heavy forklift on him. And they need to go and get another piece of equipment to move it off. But also they can't move it until like medical personnel get there, because there's like a risk. And I guess this is like common practice on construction sites, that if like anything ever happens to you, like if there's some sort of like mishap where you like any part of your body gets crushed, they have to leave you in the position that you're in.
Yeah.
So that like,
well, dude, I mean,
if
they go to take it off him, I'm imagining, let's say like 6 burly construction dudes run down and they like lift it up enough, and then one guy drags him out
wearing torn jeans,
wearing torn jeans, and cutoffs for sure, and like a rolled up pack of cigarettes on their sleeve, and all hot, like super hot,
sweaty,
and like a little bit of dirt on the face and huge cocks, and so they run down and they lift it up and then they pull him out. If they pull him out, I mean, I'd imagine that like that's a bleed out situation. Like you're
well, there's. So one thing
we
too
definitely
is when,
don't have to
like
have
eventually
anymore. But
eventually when he got to the hospital, he was conscious the entire time. And so guys, this is a crazy fact that this is a crazy thing that I took away from the YouTube video that he doesn't say explicitly, but he mentioned that he got airlifted to the hospital in Seattle. So he's not from Seattle. It's sort of close by there, but he was at this one hospital, and then they actually took him to this hospital in Seattle after, because the hospital he was initially taken to,
they don't have a cut
basically
in half
wasn't
division.
sure if they could keep him.
And he said when the helicopter dropped him off, the one thing that he hated the most was how much they said the word "told" at him.
You know what's funny though is
They
that
told me I wasn't going to walk again.
The hospital that he was taken to in Seattle is actually the one that is.
If you say Grey's Anatomy, I'm gonna hang up on you.
I'm gonna cut you in half.
I'm gonna cut you out of the show.
It's the inspiration for Grace Sloan Memorial Hospital in Grey's Anatomy. So they're 1,000% gonna do a Grey's Anatomy episode about this for sure. They have to do.
Is that what they do? They just do the writers of Grey's Anatomy just go to the inspired by hospital and just go, yo, what happened? What's happened recently here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give us
I think they look for any good medical story to write.
They do what we do, and then they just write like love hospital dramas.
Well, I was gonna say, I hope they start like listening to our Feel Good Friday episodes for some medical content.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I really wanted to have him on to talk more about is he had they had first amputated one leg from just below the hip and then the other one from like mid femur. And they actually had to make the choice because the tissue was still dying up to his hip. So the operation that he had done is called, I think it's a hemicorporectomy, which is an amputation below the belly button.
Whoa.
So like the bottom half of your body.
Yeah.
Oh, no
And
wiener.
so his mom was his power of attorney, and she had to she was sort of like in this position where she had to decide if like they were going to do this operation or not.
Wow.
And apparently she was like really struggling with like, fuck, like I have to say yes or no. And if I say yes, he goes in and gets this operation and he dies in the surgery, then I'm going to carry that guilt with me.
Yeah, but if you say no, what the fuck? Like,
and he doesn't, then
yeah.
Right. So like if he dies because she says no, anyway, they were his sister was there advocating for him to be woken up from his induced coma to make the decision himself. Don't
say anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
leave
save
it at that.
Let's save it.
If we do have him on the show, he seems super chill. Do you think he would be okay if we rewatched the scene in Dewey Cox when the brother chops his other brother in half?
The crazy thing about that though, is that, I worked at a carpet warehouse for about a year when I was in high school. And when I got there, they were like, you ever drive a forklift? And I was like, nope. And they were like, all right, you do now. And they just tossed me in it. And I'm not going to say which carpet warehouse it is, because I'm sure that would get them in trouble.
Dude, they'd be canceled tomorrow.
Yeah, they would be. But that shit fucking happens all over the place. It reminds me, let's see if I can play this here. I kind of whipped it up. I don't know if it'll work. It reminds me of this.
Oh no.
Take care of that skid. Yeah.
Oh,
dude. Oh.
This is a legit commercial.
This was no accident. The company knows it's against code to store that much weight up there. I knew I should have been focused on what I was doing. And it's obvious the supervisor reported that broken shelf.
Holy fuck. There really are no accidents. I mean, dude, Prevented.ca, we're putting out the fucking gnarliest of gnar.
Who doesn't? Workplace safety commercials are really some of the best internet content out there.
If you want to get scared shitless, I mean, I wonder if Lauren, if he saw something like that, if that would have changed the way that he would show up to work. But when you're in that situation, it's if your superior says go do this thing, you kind of just fucking do it. It's not like you. And also, driving a forklift is so fun. It's not like you're really expecting that to happen.
There's just a big difference between being outside of a situation and theorizing about how you would what you would do and how you would handle it, and then being in it and someone being I mean, dude, we see that shit all the time with just COVID stuff and how you would, if you go, oh, I'm going to make I'm not going to hug people or whatever. And then you see a friend that has no idea that, what you are, that you don't want to be hugging people, for example. and they just go in for a hug, and you just go, oh, okay, well,
can't do that.
I'll give them.
Yeah,
but,
you shouldn't be doing that.
The
key is,
but
consent.
but then you then compromise
because you're going to put in an awkward situation. I mean, I there's one guy that I've run into the city like 5 times now. And I don't know him very well, but like he's like a festival goer. So like I know him through that scene.
You guys like to make out whenever you see each other?
Yeah. And every time I see him, he's like, are you doing hugs? And I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, I am. For you, I am. Let's do it. And it's so if you're out there and you love giving hugs, ask. You should be doing that anyway, but especially now it's COVID.
Yeah.
Speaking of COVID, the WHO, not the band, says countries should not order COVID-19 boosters while others still need vaccines. This is coming from Reuters.
We all
all three of us at the same
all
time.
knew how to pronounce it, except for Jeremy.
Reuters,
you idiot.
It's a German publication.
Reuters for
That was a good joke.
Coming out of Geneva, rich countries should not be ordering booster shots for the vaccinated populations while other countries have yet to receive COVID-19 vaccines, the World Health Organization said on Monday. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says deaths were again rising from the COVID-19 pandemic. The Delta variant was becoming dominant, and many countries had yet to receive enough vaccine doses to protect their health workers. I mean, this is something we covered on the show with our friend Ananya. I believe this week. Last week.
Wednesday.
He goes on to quote, he's quoted saying, the Delta variant is ripping around the world at a scorching pace, driving a new spike in COVID-19 cases and deaths. Tedros told a briefing noting that the highly contagious variant first detected in India had now been found in more than 104 countries. Quote, the global gap in COVID-19 vaccine supply is hugely uneven, as we had talked about on the show last week, and inequitable. Some countries and regions are actually ordering millions of booster doses before other countries have had supplies to vaccinate their health workers and most vulnerable, said Tedros. He singled out vaccine makers Pfizer and Moderna as companies that were aiming to provide booster shots in countries where there were already high levels of vaccination. Tedros said they should instead direct their doses to COVAX, the vaccine sharing program mainly for middle-income and poorer countries. The WHO's chief scientist, Soy boy Nathan, said that the global health body had so far not seen evidence showing that booster shots were necessary for those who have received a full course of vaccine. While boosters may be necessary one day, there was no evidence that they were needed yet.
They're doing it in Israel now. I just read that this morning.
They're doing boosters.
They've ordered boosters specifically for a classification of person who is a high risk immune system stuff. So
okay.
they're reserving third dose boosters for those specific people.
Yeah, I also read.
Do we even know?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, okay. I read an article in the Times recently that to protect people that are vaccinated but are vulnerable, that people are starting to triple up and sometimes quadruple up in the United States on COVID doses because they're.
Whoa.
Do they show that there's like? Has it shown that doing that further increases your immunity?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't remember.
That would be interesting to know.
But I do know people are getting.
I'm wondering, like,
doses.
People are like, "Give me 10."
Are these booster doses? Are they? Is the idea that it is the same? Like, if I got my booster shot, would it be the same as the Moderna shot that I got or the Pfizer shot that I got within the last 2 months?
I don't know.
That'll be interesting. Maybe
I know that they were testing. I thought there, like in a couple weeks ago, there was news about testing for boosters, but like I'm still not clear on like how early you would want to get a booster shot anyway, because weren't they not really sure like how long it would
look up what Israel's doing, because they're leading that third dose charge, because I believe CDC, FDA, and the WHO are all saying as of right now,
Right.
booster shots are very much like, we don't really know if they're necessary, how necessary they are, if they are, and that sort of thing. It sounded like, from what I was reading about what they're doing in Israel, it sounded like the booster shot was different from the first or second dose because did my camera just shut off? Because they were talking about it in terms of being in trials. So I don't know if they're just trialing, if they mean, hey, we're trialing a third dose of the same medication to see how people react to it and whatnot, or if it means, we are, or if it means, hey, that we're working on this is a completely new shot, or not a completely new shot, but like a different, recipe or variation of the same thing, and we're seeing how people react to it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. One of the questions I would have about it is like so I heard also a couple days ago that there's potentially two variants now in the States that seem to be infecting people with COVID that have had 2 doses of the vaccine.
Right.
And it's my understanding that like with, my only reference is the flu shot. But when I think of the flu shot, like the flu shot that was given out this past year, I think is different than like the flu shot that would have been given out 10 years ago. There's slight I think there's slight like modifications that they make to it.
Well, if you're somebody out there who's listening who knows this sort of thing, drop a little note in the comments below. Let us know. We'd love to hear it on YouTube. And if not, you can send us a little message at letters@sickboypodcast.com. Continuing on with this Reuters article, Mike Ryan, head of the WHO's emergency program, said, right now we are condemning hundreds of millions of people to having no protection. We will look back in anger and we will look back in shame if countries use precious doses on booster shots at a time where vulnerable people are still dying without vaccines elsewhere, Ryan said. These are people who want to have their cake and eat it, and then they want to make some more cake and eat that too, he said. A bunch of gluttonous fat fuckers that just can't get enough cake.
I mean, it really is like we were talking about it with Ananya, and I referenced it in the conversation with Ananya. I made a video, a handful of months ago now that hasn't come out yet. But like, unfortunately, the conjecture and speculation that I made in that video about COVAX and basically like what might happen if we really don't put any emphasis on lower income countries getting vaccinations has sadly turned out to be exactly the reality that we're living in now.
Yeah.
And that video will be coming out soon, but it kind of, it hurts that I made that video and that is the situation we find ourselves in. Instead of, I would have much rather been like, oh, it actually went way differently. COVAX really, countries stepped up to the plate with COVAX, companies and corporations that are donating to the effort stepped up to the plate, and more of these lower income countries, because they just get left behind in a world where they were already behind.
Yeah.
And countries are, when countries are, their economies are kickstarting again and things are getting back to quote unquote normal. And like we chatted with Ananya, some of these countries are facing, if everything continued on the track that it is now, they could be facing like a 3 to 5 year hole that they have to dig themselves out of when countries like Canada and the US are almost out of them completely. So it's really sad.
It is a bummer.
Can I just add, like, can you just stay focused on Taylor for a second too? Like, Taylor, you're so fucking cool. Like,
thanks,
that
man.
Bali vibes shirt.
Thanks, bro.
and not only like how cool you fucking look, but how smart you are at the same time.
Oh,
like,
dude,
I'm kind of like,
that's so nice of you.
I'm just I'm having like a fanboy moment here.
All right.
Yeah, you're fucking sweet,
Thanks.
dude. I love you.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love you. I was kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop on that one, but it never
No, there's
it never
nothing
did.
else.
That's so nice.
I
You're just
really
cool as
thought
fuck. Hey.
thought you were fucking with him, and you just
No, it wasn't. I
you
just think,
clearly
hey, you're fucking cool and smart, and I'm happy to be your friend.
Wow.
Jared, can you just
I'm
can
married.
you just
So.
Can you just show us your dog for a second?
He's asleep under Taylor right now.
He is panting heavily.
Yeah, he's a hot
boy.
Hot dog. So moving right along here, this is kind of fun, kind of interesting, kind of relevant. With Bird and Bee, female founders help consumers identify and address fertility issues. Bird and Bee is the name of the company. So Brianna Hughes's fertility problems started about 5 years ago. After the Toronto technology producer specialist went off birth control at the age of 32, her period didn't return for months. For years, she struggled to conceive while healthcare professionals didn't consider her situation abnormal.
For years.
But when she and her husband were finally referred to a fertility specialist, Miss Hughes was told it was too late. Because of unaddressed fertility issues, she had no choice but to attempt in vitro fertilization, also known as IVF, which is a lengthy and very expensive procedure. Quote, I look back and think that was a loss of time, she said. Frustrated, Mrs. Hughes co-founded the Bird and Bee Co. in 2019 to help others identify and address fertility concerns early on through ovarian and sperm tests, plus personalized supplements. On Tuesday, the e-commerce company will announce it has raised $2.2 million to launch new products, expand production, and grow its team of 11. It joined the burgeoning femtech space, which targets the needs of women and girls. And this sector has been something that's seen quite an increase in activity in the recent years with businesses such as the Toronto-based apparel company Knix Wear Inc., which is Knix is like period specific underwear. And also Bumble Inc., which is a female-focused dating website, making headlines for raising $60 million in funding and reaching an $8 billion US valuation, respectively.
Remember when we went to the Bumble party in Austin?
Yeah, dude, that was
oh man,
that was fun.
Awesome.
Was it like only women could walk up to people and start a conversation? Was it a Sally Hawkins dance?
There were the male to female ratio seemed quite staggering. There were a lot of ladies there. They were all there. We were all there to see Chaim, the lovely trio band of sisters that are sick. Just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
They're the best, man.
The global fertility market, considered a subset of the femtech category, had an estimated value of $33.1 billion in 2020, with growth expected to reach nearly $47.9 billion by 2030, according to a 2021 study, which is interesting considering this whole, we talked about fertility not too long ago, about this notion that like we're seeing sperm counts plummet because of these like forever plastics, and according to one of the researchers there that's trying to really push that information out there, that we could be looking at an existential threat by the year 2045, where we are basically at 0% fertility rate. It's easy to see why.
Do you guys want to play a quick game where we grab the nearest forever plastic to us and just our favorite one that's nearest to us and just talk about why it's our favorite forever plastic?
Sure. Do you want to do it in 3 seconds? You do a little countdown?
Yeah. I just found this yellow pen. You got 3 seconds, 2, 1. This is nice because of the color, the way that they colored this forever plastic.
I like.
Jared, what do you?
I have Taylor, a dog here named Donut, and he's wearing a collar.
He looks fucking fake.
He's got a collar here. See the collar? That's got some forever plastics on it, but he smells so good.
Just hold him up so his hands do that thing again.
Oh, he's got cute paws.
Oh my God, Donut, you're so cute. Say hello to the world.
I can't.
Say hello to the world, buddy. Like, please put me down. Please put me down.
I've got
Taylor, what do you got?
I've got 2 items. I've got one is the cap on my water bottle, which this forever plastic prevents me from creating more forever plastics. So I just have one.
That's a
I
good
just have
Forever
one
Plastic.
Forever Plastic instead of many Forever Plastics from the bottle store.
Lauren, what do you got?
Cheers to
I
that.
feel like maybe my phone case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no,
plus it's like
anything.
in your clothes, and it's in our phones, and it's in our microphones, and it's in our chairs, and it's in the tripods that our cameras hold. It's in our cameras.
It's in your IUDs. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
Probably. I was
It's
gonna
in-
say I
it's
probably
in
have one
everything.
It's up in
literally
your,
inside
up in your
me.
hoochie. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was
Um,
actually thinking of like the reason why I thought of that is because I was looking at our screens and thinking about how many Forever Plastics I could see all around us.
Every item that you
Everything
have
in this room.
It's in your ears.
It's everywhere.
It's on your head.
So yeah, the market growing quite rapidly. It's easy to see why. 1 in 6 Canadians experience infertility issues. The Canadian Fertility and Andrology Society reports. Meanwhile, 15 to 20% of pregnancies end in miscarriage. That is guys, 15 to 20% end in miscarriage. That is a huge fucking percentage.
I will say that
I
might
remember-
be normal though.
Yeah.
That's
like
I wonder. I wonder. I
so
don't know.
I remember when we talked about miscarriages, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, one of the stats that stuck with me was between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 pregnancies end in miscarriage. And we were talking about how we don't talk.
We don't talk about it.
You're told not to say you're pregnant or announce you're pregnant publicly until after the first trimester, because it's so common to lose a pregnancy in that first trimester.
I mean, someone we know, a couple here in Halifax, sort of a famous couple, Ali and Sam, they just announced on their Instagram the other day that they just recently had a miscarriage. And I was really sad, obviously, to see that post, but also very happy
they were
to
doing,
see that post because they were bringing a lot of awareness to something that needs to be talked about.
They were doing IVF and had a failed embryo transfer.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Which is effectively
A little bit different,
I guess.
I mean, effectively, but also like a bit different, I guess. The article, which is out of the Globe and Mail, goes on to say Bird & Bee co-founder Samantha Diamond, who has a background in public relations, also experienced fertility issues. So both of them have. Diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, a hormonal disorder where ovaries may fail to regularly release eggs. Miss Diamond said it was only because she found out early that she was able to find intervention and care and have a child without additional medical assistance. The women's own struggle helped catch the eye of investors. BAM Ventures in Los Angeles, an early-stage venture fund that focuses on health and wellness products, led the seed investment for Bird & Bee. Managing director Brian Lee said he was attracted to the startup because of the market demand and the mission-driven founders. He went on to say, quote, "I don't know a single person who doesn't know someone who had a tough time conceiving," he said. The company was born out of their own pain points from when they were going through their own fertility journeys. So launching Tuesday, which is today as we're recording this, Bird & Bee personalized supplements for women and men will be manufactured at a pharmacy in Vaughan, Ontario. Each customer's specific formulation is created according to an online survey that they fill out. The supplements will be available in individual packs, as a bundle, or as a monthly subscription. Quote, "What's currently on the market is very much one-size-fits-all prenatal. But then you have to buy all these additional vitamins and minerals to get comprehensive support," Ms. Diamond said. Quote, "I literally have a box of 20-something bottles. It's a full-time job keeping track of them when I'm running out and when I need to replenish them." This coming fall, Bird & Bee will offer inexpensive at-home pregnancy tests, ovarian fertility tests, sperm quality tests, and a patented follicle-stimulating hormone test, which can help identify a shortage of eggs. The company worked with Dr. Dan Nayot, a reproductive endocrinologist who serves as a chief medical advisor, to create the products. He is also the medical director of the Fertility Partners, Canada's largest IVF network. So they've got quite a team.
At this point, we're probably legally obligated to say that we're sponsored by them now, or what?
It sounds like that, doesn't it? Very stoked for them and the work that they're doing, though, because that's, it's a fucking tough issue, and obviously one that there's a demand for a little bit more innovation and like accessibility and customization for the individuals who need the help, So Bird and Bee, if you're looking to get knocked up, check them out. All right.
It's sweet to hear about anybody who's innovating in the women's health space too, because I feel like we've been talking about this a lot lately on the podcast, how women's health has just not been a priority over the course of forever.
Yeah.
So
I'm also taking a look through their website.
What'd you find, Lo?
Oh, I was just taking a look through their website, and one thing that stands out to me as something that's awesome is that they have a section dedicated to LGBTQ folks that are looking to conceive. So I think that's great that they're building inclusivity to different sexual orientations and gender expressions in their work. So that's pretty sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, moving right along, are you guys ready for this week's segment of what the hell?
Is that because you're trying not to scare the puppy?
Puppy's sleeping. What the hell?
What the hell?
That was like a 3 out of 10.
What the hell?
Guys, this is a wild one. And actually, so this article, which came out quite a while ago, it actually features one of our past guests, Dr. James Cantor, one of our favorite guests, also past Termion alumni.
I'm so interested in where this is going now.
Oh, this is going somewhere real interesting. Man who desired to be eaten by a large dominant woman, a baffling case for Toronto psychiatric hospital doctors. So we're getting into some really interesting psychiatric based fetish that was a what is the name?
Paraphilia?
A paraphilia, which is, I believe, a sexual desire that is problematic, could cause harm or harm.
Wait, so I know we're gonna go into this, but desired to be eaten to death, not just part of him eaten, or fully eat.
I feel like no matter what, you're gonna be harmed.
Yep. Let's get into it. We'll find out. The desire to be eaten is among the rarest of fetishes, the black orchard of kink. The psychologist who interviewed Stephen had barely any idea what to ask. This is an article from the National Post from a number of years ago. Oh, God, Jesus Christ. What the fuck did I just do? Oh, God, guys. This is bad. Bear with me here.
Toggled some sort of...
Karaichi wawa karamba. Ew. We don't want that. This is a little bit of YouTube fuckery. So if you want to see what that looked like, go check out the podcast on YouTube. Okay. The man who wished to be eaten seemed quite shy when he walked into a Toronto psychiatric hospital last year asking for help. Stephen, as he is called in a new scientific paper, was 45 years old, quote, socially anxious but pleasant and cooperative, clean, cognate, casually dressed, and not psychotic. Okay? So,
regular.
Just a regular dude. Just a muggle.
Just regular, except one.
Just regular, except for one thing.
One small thing.
His problem was an intense desire to be, quote, consumed by a large dominant woman and then defecated by her.
Like she shits him out.
Yes, he wanted to be turned into lady's poopy.
Wow, that is super specific.
How does that make you? How does that make you guys feel?
It makes me feel so super not surprised because the internet exists.
Yeah.
So I feel like
anything exists out there.
Yeah, dude.
It makes me feel more normal because that's what my relationship is like.
See, they think that it's rare, but they just haven't been on the internet.
So even to the unflappable staff of the sexual behavior clinic, this was baffling. Vorarephilia, from the Latin for the love of devouring, usually shows itself in the dominant desire to eat, as in extreme cases like serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. So Jeffrey Dahmer was Vorarephilia. He was Vorarephilic.
He wanted to eat.
A vorophile?
He ate people. He had skulls in his fucking freezer. And he ate a bunch of young boys. The submissive inverse of this, the desire to be eaten, is among the rarest of fetishes, the black orchard of kink. And so the psychologist who interviewed Stephen had barely any idea what to ask him. As he shared his strange secret, though, he offered a window into a symptom of mental illness that, to the doctors, seemed to have arisen from, quote, a desire to never again be alone or lonely. So this is where this desire was coming from. He wanted to never be alone. And so how that manifested in his kink was that he wanted to be consumed, so that he was always with someone
until they poop him out.
Yeah. Then at that point, you're really alone. It doesn't get much more lonely.
But then you become one with the earth.
then you become a fatberg.
I bet he really wanted to. I bet he really wanted to. The psychologist really wanted to dig into like why the defecation part then, because like the eating part then like kind of makes sense, but then like the defecation part's kind of confusing because
well, it's all part of the process.
Do you really want to be a fatberg?
It's all part of the process. Like fetishes, it's like people who are very vanilla and don't have like a fetish or a kink have a hard time wrapping their heads around any fetish or kink, because it's like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you want to be spit on? Like, that just seems degrading or weird. But then the people who want to be spit on are like, well, because it makes me feel good. Like, that's why it fucking makes me rock hard. So James Cantor went on to say, quote, he had no obvious wish to die, reads the report in a current issue of Archives of Sexual Behavior by James Cantor, a leading psychologist of sexual disorders at Toronto's Centre for Addiction and Mental Health. He is no longer there. That's not what he does anymore. He has a private practice. And Amy Lickens, learn how to read, who did the interview. Quote, rather, he reported the desire to be taken in by someone, then to be expelled. Studies of this sort are as rare as the subject, because I'm guessing there's not a lot of people out there that have this desire. Despite a long history of cultural intersection, only a handful of psychiatric case studies focus on the relationship between sex and food, and Vorarephilia barely receives mention, the authors write. It is a hunger that is not usually sated, quote, due to physical and or legal restraints. They write, sometimes, though, these restraints are not strong enough. Prior to 2 recent American prosecutions of would-be cannibals, the closest approximation to Vorarephilia in the real world, they write, as the case of Armin Meues, a German computer programmer who in 2002 killed and ate at least 20 kilograms of flesh from the body of Bernd Brandes, a man who strangely had consented to it. So that's a pretty famous case.
Yep.
Guy came over. He
We've
wanted
talked about that.
to have his dick eaten. And then, of course, the rest of him, he wanted to eat his dick with the guy and then the rest of them be eaten. And that happened.
Wow.
This was the culmination of Meues' lifelong fetish that had previously been expressed in role-playing, which was a common outlet for Vorarephilia, both for aspiring cannibals and for those who would be their feast. For example, the paper describes the case of Turkey Man, a traveling businessman who regularly hired a dominatrix to meet him in his hotel room to cook him in a cardboard oven. Other outlets. Now, that's really interesting because I
like that. That sounds kind of fun.
I've heard this from you before, Jer.
One of the earliest podcasts of Turn Me On podcasts, we spoke with a sex worker. She actually just recently passed away, and she had a lot of friends here in Halifax, and is very sad. But she told us a story about a guy that wanted to that was his exact kink. He wanted to be cooked, so she would like prep him, baste him, wrap him in tin foil, put parsley on him.
Yeah, I remember listening to that.
Get him ready to be cooked in the oven, but then that's where it would end. She didn't actually cook him. At least that's what she said. I'm sure if she actually did cook him, she would have told us. Other outlets include fantasy writing and cartoons, in which the consumer is frequently a humanoid animal, often a wolf, cat, dragon, or snake. A common theme is that the victim wishes to be swallowed whole, not damaged by chewing, and the story often focuses on the resulting full belly, which looks almost pregnant. This link to birth is also thought to be a psychologically significant and related to other unusual desires such as unbirthing, the act of physically returning to the womb. Stephen's desire to be eaten fits into this wish to be unborn, the authors suggest, but because both represent the, quote, total destruction of being and personhood in a permanent physical union. Expulsion also figured importantly into Stephen's desires. Quote, he often fantasized about being feces or semen and being expelled by a person, the report reads. Curiously, given all this, Stephen was mostly worried he was gay. The doctors explained that, as far as they could tell, based on several tests, he was not, despite some sexual desires involving men. Quote, persons with paraphilic interests often report sexual arousal to both sexes in the context of their paraphilic fantasies, they write. They also expressed skepticism about his claims that on several occasions at a library, he, quote, crawled under tables without the woman's knowledge so that he could smell her feet. Interesting that they were skeptical about that. It's like, yeah, if someone's telling you that.
That seems like pretty run-of-the-mill stuff for somebody who wants to be.
I see that shit at the library every fucking week, dude.
He's like, hey, listen, doc, I swear to God, I really want to be eaten and then pooped out. And by the way, I also go under library tables and smell feet. And they're like, shit, no way. There's no way you actually go under library tables.
Oh, we believe you about the whole wanting to become and shot out of someone. We believe that.
But also, can we talk about how this guy's worst fear is that he's gay? Like, that's so sad to me that he has such internalized homophobia, I guess, or just that he's homophobic.
No, I don't think it's that. I think again, because they don't say anything about that. No. I don't say that. I don't think that that's necessarily the case.
Why else? No. Why else would you be afraid of being that?
It's not. He's afraid that he's gay. It's that. Okay, so think about it this way. Again,
I thought it said his biggest fear was that he was gay.
No. I don't think it meant he's fearful of being gay. I think what's happening here is he's feeling really confused because he's going, I don't identify as gay, but I fucking think I might be because I want to be eaten by men as well as women. And so I'm having these like sexual desires focus on both sexes. So does that mean I'm gay? I don't know what the fuck is going on. And they're saying, no, like we can tell that you're not gay, but your paraphilia is so strong that you don't give a fuck what the gender or the person is. You don't give a shit who's behind the act. You're just so horny to be eaten and turned into poo-poo that it could be any sex. And for him, that's really confusing because he's like, I never thought I was gay, but now I fucking think I am gay because I'm having these thoughts about guys. But they're going, well, do you jerk off to men? Do you like, does the idea of having sex with men turn you on? And if he's going, no, that's why they're saying to him,
unless they're eating me,
we don't think you're gay.
Yeah.
What I think is really interesting about this whole thing is that he, at the very beginning, he said that he walked in, He went to them. He went to them because he recognized that this is like something that needs to be
abnormal,
and which leads you to believe that this has to be far more common than we know. Because for listeners who don't know, the person who we mentioned in this article, Dr. James Cantor, we had Dr. Cantor on the show like way back in the early days of the podcast, and the subject of the episode was very controversial because he was talking to us about the basically like the psychology of pedophilia, and there was a really hard block to get around in that conversation because our association with pedophilia in society is so intensely strongly against pedophilia, right? And something that he was trying to convey to us was, yes, it is horrible, but most of the people who are pedophiles, meaning that they're attracted to people under a certain age, they know that that's horrible, and they never act on it, and they seek help for it.
Well, they can't, but they
can't because he was saying that like he used a really high number, like 85 or 90% or more of people who are pedophilic don't ever abuse anybody or anybody like that, because they're very well aware that what they are attracted to is wrong socially. Yeah. And just like this guy in this case obviously knows. He walks into a psychiatric hospital because he goes, yo, what I want
is to be consumed,
is not okay.
Yeah.
And I know it, but I want it.
Yeah.
And I know I need help. I need to get help.
My guess is that he, again, with the nods to the past prosecutions of wannabe and B cannibals in the past, he probably was starting to feel some things that made him realize this could go down a path that could lead to some harm. And obviously he was seeking help for that. When he was examined, Stephen's libido seemed to have decreased due to depression, but the doctors anticipated it would return if the depression was eased. There is no known treatment to change such abnormal desires into normal ones, however. So their recommendation was treatment to, quote, help him adjust to rather than change or suppress his sexual interests. Failing that, they would have prescribed medication to lower his sex drive. As it happened, though, Stephen did not return to the clinic, and his fate is not known. So, they were looking at this going like, look, dude, you have these desires. They run deep. We can't change that, but we can maybe find outlets for you in ways that are much healthier than the alternative, which is like getting on some dark web website and finding a cannibal who's like, yeah, sure, come on over and we can cook your dick and eat it, and then I'll eat the rest of you.
I mean, that is like that again. It's same crossroads as the pedophile conversation that we had with James Cantor, like the crossroad of like this sexual desire with legal ramifications and the lack of resources that someone runs into when they realize that what they want is not okay and they can't access. There's really not much that you can do because like they described, that this is like the rarest of the rare. Yeah. And so like, because there's not a lot of people that are coming to psychiatric facilities going, study me and, make me your lab rat to figure out what's going on and how to treat something like this so that people, other people who deal with this can be treated better.
Or even
so you end up getting
it like James Cantor was saying about pedophiles specifically, like if they could come forward and say, hey, I'm attracted to children, and they could receive like libido inhibitors or some type of medication, like medical castration or something like that, then they were trying to
steer away from medical castration because that's the inhumane treatment that is being used. And so Cantor's whole thing is,
but they can't even come forward and talk about it at this point, right? Because it's
illegal, I mean, if you came forward and said that,
which makes those people more likely to abuse somebody.
You're looking to get castrated if you come forward and say something like
and
that.
It makes makes somebody like this guy Stephen to come forward and say something because
outside of the pedophile, I can just hear the people fucking turning the podcast off right now. Outside of the and I can hear the producers at CBC being like, why is this podcast on our show?
It's an important conversation.
I know. But moving away from that, another example of something like this within this realm would be like someone who identifies as necrophilic, right? And so someone who's like, what turns me on is the idea of having sex with a dead body. You can't do that. That's desecrating a body. That's like indecency with a corpse. Like that's illegal. But there are ways to satiate that desire and that need that you can do safely with a consenting partner if they don't feel too weirded out to like go to that space with you.
Do you mean to like pretend to be dead?
Yeah. So like I have heard some very interesting tales of someone that someone I know knows somebody who is into that.
A friend of a friend.
A friend of a friend of a friend. And their partner is their partner is very much in love with them and they don't share the same desire, but to show up for their partner in the way that their partner feels like they need. One of the things that they do is like the partner who plays the dead body. They get their body very cold. They go out and like stand out in the cold for a while and get nice and chilly and then come inside and lay very still. And it's like a whole, it's role play. It's like they're playing out this scene that isn't real, but it from what I gathered, it feels real enough that this person isn't like, okay, cool. That was okay, but it wasn't good enough. I'm going to go to the morgue and see if I can fuck a dead body.
Honestly, if you're into it, that's cool as fuck. Like, sweet.
If you're into it and you find ways to do it healthily and where no one gets hurt and that you're not breaking the law and doing stuff that's not okay.
I mean, it's wild because it's where like sexuality and kink cross over into really what we talk about and think about and speculate on, like psychiatry and psychology and how, because like all that stuff, like things that people are into, there's like a deep-seated connection to something that happened, or
whether it's
like
past trauma.
I don't mean this is a negative connection, but like, and I don't want to make it like fully negative, but
we were already just talking about pedophiles.
We were already just talking about pedophiles, so we've gone into negative territory. I remember watching what was the show? What was the Mindhunter on Netflix?
Yeah,
the serial killer show.
So good.
Yeah. And he's talking to the huge guy with
Ed
glasses. Gein. Yeah, and he's describing his fascination with feet, and he describes like a situation when he was like super young, like 7 or 8 years old, and his mom has a friend over.
Oh no, it's not Ed Gein.
She has red shoes on, and it's like
Jerry Brudos.
For whatever reason, like red shoes and feet are like have a central role in his
Ed Kemper.
No, Ed Kemper was the big guy. The shoe guy was Jerry Brudos, though.
Oh, was he? Okay, I mixed them up. So yeah, so
I heard foot fetishes though. I know that you're talking about the heel thing too specifically, but I heard foot fetishes are really common, like very, very, very common, because of the location of the part in your brain that has the nerves that connect with your feet is very close or like next to your genitals, and so it's common for those to
that's interesting.
Either like be switched or interact with one
another. That's some bro science, but I don't not believe you, but I would look into that.
I'm also skeptical about the weather thing.
Hey, look into it, dude.
I'm
pretty sure I saw it on TikTok.
Oh, but then it's true. Never mind. It's true. I'm with you.
Don't look into it.
All right, folks, we hope you enjoyed how weird that got. We started off with some wholesome content, some puppies, cute puppies, and then we ended on getting eaten shit out and pedophiles. So you know where to show up if you want to have your Friday fucked right up in all the best ways and all the worst ways all at once. And it is right here on YouTube, or perhaps Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or maybe the CBC Listen app if they continue to support this show. But after this episode, I can't guarantee anything. Listen, if you're listening on one of those tune-in apps, make sure you're following on Spotify. Leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you've been watching the episode, if you watched little sleepy boy donut over there,
he's over there.
You can check it out on YouTube, and we would love to hear in the comments what your thoughts are on how cute my dog is and how weird you felt in the last 20 minutes.
Donut's gonna have a little friend next week.
That's right. Do we and Loki and him are already friends, so that's
they
nice.
Are. Yeah.
Lo, did we have a DM or an email from a boomer?
Yeah, we sure did. So our friend Kate wrote in and said, just finished the FGF episode while out for a walk, sunglasses emoji. I'm just going to read out all the emojis because they make this so fun.
100%.
I like it.
Love how much you all make me laugh so much. Sideways laughing emoji.
I'll do the sounds for them. Here, read it again.
Love how much you all make me laugh so much. Gen Xer who was double
that weirded me
vaxxed.
out.
AstraZeneca first. Chills, headache, tired as fuck and achy all over for 3 days. In the Pfizer second. Sore arm and shoulder in the I can't lift my drink cocktail emoji way. Would do it all again if I had to. Bless you, Kate. She wrote, finally on my way to Fredericton from Ontario to see a friend surrounded by hearts emoji. Recovering from cancer treatment.
Oh, that took a...
Thanks. but thanks to everyone who has done their part to stop COVID, all caps. Keep up the amazing work and keep and wishing you all great health. Said in the zany Jeremy, what the health voice? Sideways laughing emoji.
Oh, wow. That's so great. Emojis are
Wishing you all good
emojis
health.
really are a new language all of their own.
But then she finishes
no
with, that's right. I said zany. I'm that old.
Oh yes, zany is a very. I mean,
That's
so
very
so hold on. That was a DM or an email?
That was a DM. So
Wow.
you're
Oh,
quite
shit.
young
Boomers.
at heart, Kate.
Boomers in the DM.
How old is
Interesting.
she? She's 80? Is that what?
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Well,
She says hip hip hooray.
yeah, that's really great. If you have a something that you'd like to send us, a note that you'd like to send us, Zoomers to the DMs and boomers to the email at letters@sickboypodcast.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show, you can do that by going to sickboypodcast.com/contact. Fill out the guest form. I'm back in the office today, guys. It feels fucking awesome.
Feels
Just wanted
good.
to say that.
Good to have you here,
Really
man.
good.
You look good.
Thanks, man. Appreciate
Good to see
that.
you there.
Thanks.
And I just want to say a huge thank you to the people who make this show happen. Thank you so much, Lauren Sankey. You're one of a kind. Chiller McGilvery, I love you. You look handsome in that Bali vibe shirt and smart as fuck. Jer, thanks for bringing your dog in. Your dog's super cute and I love you. And thanks to Jeff Lonis for the amazing work as a manager that you provide, to Rich O'Coin for the theme music. And that is it for today, folks.
Bri, you're the apple of my eye. You're the apple.
Hey, bring me back
You're
in.
the apple of my eye. Oh, I just gave birth to you. All
Birth
right, folks,
emoji.
that is it for this week.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sick Boy.